the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. So I have been getting message after DM. Always say at the end of your shows, the Spit Show comes out every other day. So why hasn't there been a podcast for 3 days? Well, rarely do I ever get sick, but unfortunately, when I do, I have no energy and or motivation to do anything. My nose has been pretty much a faucet for the last few days, so I have been in no state of mind or physically able to record these episodes, but I'm feeling a little bit better now, and I have so much I want to talk about with this Colorado win over TCU on Saturday and how great it is. I saw a lot of issues with this Colorado team that makes me hesitant that they're even going to be a ranked team by the end of the year. Yeah, I know that's bold, but hear me out here. So let's start with the good of the win. Obviously, to start off, the top of the top is Deion Sanders. His motivation is just unbelievable. He is the type of coach that you just want to run through 3 walls for. His post and pregame speeches, I listened to them both all the way through. And I honestly listened to them before recording this episode as motivation because I was in my bed, hesitant to even pick up the mic today, but listened to Deion's pregame speech and I just wanted to go for it. You know what I mean? I wanted to record. He's a special motivator and a special head coach. And his team only had 6 penalties for a team that was 1-11 last year, one of the most penalized teams in college football, the worst point differential in college football. Only having 6 penalties in your first game is unbelievable. And speaking of first games, his son, Shador, played a nearly perfect football game. School record for passing yards in his first game with the school. He had 2 perfectly placed deep balls flatly dropped, one by Travis Hunter, the other by Edwards, but he connected on the third one to horn up the sideline, and he constantly created just enough time for his receivers to make second efforts. The second to last touchdown was just that. He got the ball in the pocket, made one move to the left so his receiver could come from his inside break post to a corner route. He was butt naked, wide open through that touchdown. He played out of his mind. But I will say it's easy to play that well when you have all day to throw. And TCU's pass rush was weak at best, which gave Shador plenty of time to do what he does best, which is drop dimes. And Dylan Edwards, man, whenever TCU would play man coverage, it seemed like he would break off a 40-yard plus play because linebackers are just too slow to keep up with him, especially on those quick out routes. Man, he's a tough cover man-to-man, and TCU just wouldn't go away from it. I don't know why, but the story of this game, to me, as an individual, is Travis Hunter. He is the only person who could take the Heisman from Caleb Williams, realistically. That is one of the greatest games I've ever seen a non-quarterback play in college football in my life. He played 110 snaps in 110-degree heat. The NFL average for snaps in a game is 153. So he played almost as many snaps as a full NFL game is by himself on both sides. He had one of the best picks you will ever see in your life, incredibly instinctual. He had 3 tackles, 3 pass breakups, 119 yards, and 11 catches, including, in my opinion, the biggest catch of the game on that 3rd and 16, when it finally looked like TCU was going to get that one stop that wins them the game. It was at a point in the game where everyone knew that whoever A was going to have the ball last, or B, whoever was going to get a stop, was going to win the game. TCU looked like they were going to get that stop. Shador threw it right up the seam to Travis Hunter where only he could get it, right on the inside shoulder, and he just went up and made a play. Full credit to him. And that one stop was going to win the game, and Hunter got them that play, kept the chains moving. But the biggest play of the game was that, and Morris, TCU's quarterback, missing that slant on 3rd down on the last drive, which brought up 4th, and got Colorado the win. So you might be asking me right now, where's the negative in all of this? Obviously, this is a really positive win for Colorado, a team that was struggling mightily until Deion showed up. And they come in and get this win as 20-point underdogs. What's the downside? Well, I don't think their way of winning is sustainable. As mentioned before, TCU's pass rush was incredibly weak. And when you have weapons like Colorado does, it's easy to pick apart a defense when you have 3 to 5 seconds to throw every single play. But the thing that concerns me even more is their trenches play on the O-line and D-line, especially their D-line, though. So TCU had 7.1 yards a rush for the game, 72 rush yards in the first half for TCU. And when they finally realized they could run on this team, they rushed for 190 yards in the second half. Colorado's D front simply wore down. They have an immense lack of depth in those positions. They need, like, the transfer portal can only help so much. You need to recruit. And that especially translates to the trenches where Alabama, Georgia, in previous years, Ohio State, they were built on their offensive lines and defensive lines. And I don't think Colorado's defensive line is going to be able to sustain enough pressure on good quarterbacks that they play against. Like, Morris is fine, but he's not an NFL quarterback. If Colorado can't consistently generate pressure, teams are going to put up 55 plus on them. And as great as their weapons are, if Shador is pressured, like more than he was on Saturday, he's going to struggle and he's going to have to win shootouts. And that's hard when you don't have time. I don't think Colorado's O-line is world beaters. I think TCU's pass rush was really weak. I think it was the perfect storm for Colorado. I think weak pass rush plus weak secondary plus TCU's inability to realize they could run on this team earlier. I think if TCU decided, you know what, we are going to run the ball down these guys' throats in the first half, I think they'd probably win the game. But they didn't realize it. Colorado capitalized, and more power to them, but this isn't sustainable. When they play Nebraska coming up, or if they somehow play a bowl game against Michigan or one of these top teams, they're going to get exposed because their trench play just isn't enough. Their weapons are unbelievable, and I'm so impressed with how they were able to turn their program around in one season. Deion's a special human being, man. He's special, and he's proven that time after time, but I don't believe that this way of winning for them is going to work consistently for the long term. So I recently gave my division winners my predictions for the NFL in terms of how each division is going to stack up. And with that, I gave my playoff teams, but I haven't yet given my playoff bracket. So I'm going to give that to you right now. I'm going to try to go quick here because I got to be honest, this is pretty obvious for me how these playoffs are going to go. So in the NFC, obviously the Lions are going to get the bye as the number 1 seed. They are the most talented. They have the most momentum coming into the season. Best O-line in the NFC. Reinvigorated defense. They're going to be the 1 seed. So the games that I have in my playoff bracket are Packers, Niners, Seahawks, Falcons, Eagles, Cowboys. So I have the Niners beating the Packers. I have the Seahawks beating the Falcons, and I have the Cowboys beating the Eagles. I think this is the year the Cowboys finally make some noise in the playoffs. Best defense they've had in a while. Best weapons they've had in a while. Only thing I don't really trust about them is their secondary, but I think their pass rush is more than enough to make up for it. So that's Lions, Niners in the second round, and Seahawks, Cowboys. I have the Lions beating the 49ers. To put it quite simply, I think the Lions have a bit more offensive firepower than the Niners do, especially at quarterback. Purdy's fine, but he's a complete unknown in the playoffs. And he's like, I've said this a lot, but he's coming off major elbow surgery on his throwing arm, and he's never been a big arm talent guy. So I have the Lions advancing the championship game and the Cowboys advancing to the championship game for the first time in 25 plus years. Congratulations, Cowboys. America's team finally making it to the freaking championship game, but they're not making it to the Super Bowl because the Lions are. I've been saying this for 2 months. The most overrated, underrated team in league history is the Detroit Lions. I understand that they have a lot of hype coming into the season. I don't think it's enough. I am serious. These guys are ready. They're hungry. They're motivated. And their reinvigorated secondary is going to do wonders for them. I have them making the Super Bowl out of the NFC officially. Put it in Sharpie. AFC. Chiefs is the number 1 seed. I know it's boring, but realistically, they're probably going to get it again. You don't bet against Patrick Mahomes, especially in the regular season, but I might bet against him later. You'll see. So my games are Chargers, Bengals, Jags, Steelers, Bills, Dolphins. So I've got the Chargers beating the Bengals. I think this is the year the Chargers go berserk. With Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, I have a lot of belief in them this year. Jaguars over the Steelers. Their quarterback is just better than Trevor Lawrence is just better than Kenny Pickett, and I like their weapons a lot more offensively. And I have the Bills beating the Dolphins because I trust Josh Allen a lot more in the playoffs than I do Tua because I haven't seen him play in the playoffs. My next matchups are Chiefs, Chargers, and Jags, Bills. I actually have the Chargers beating the Chiefs. Like I said, I've got a lot of belief in the Chargers this year. I think Herbert is going to prove a lot of the naysayers wrong after that playoff collapse last year. And when your team as good as the Chiefs, you're going to win a lot, but you can't win it every year. And I think this is going to be one of the years that they take a little bit of a step back, probably come back even better next year because they always do. But I have the Chargers beating them this year. And I have the Jags beating the Bills. Overall, I think the Jags roster is just better than the Bills are. I think their defense is on par, if not better, especially if Von Miller can't stay healthy, which it definitely seems like he will not be. He's at least missing the first 4 games, and he's 34 at this point. Their quarterback, I think, is on par with Josh Allen, and I like their weapons a lot more than I like the Bills' weapons. I think Ridley and Zay Jones and Christian Kirk are better than Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs and whoever their third best receiver is. So I have Jags versus Chargers in the AFC Championship game, and I have the Chargers beating the Jags, getting revenge for the greatest choke in NFL playoff history last year and making the Super Bowl. So I have Lions, Chargers as my Super Bowl prediction. And who do I have winning it? Well, you might already know the answer. I have the Detroit Lions winning the Super Bowl this year, pulling a full Philadelphia Eagles from 2017, where no one before the season thought they had a chance, come out of the NFC with a good roster, an above average quarterback, a great offensive line, and win the Super Bowl. I think that's the recipe for them, and I think they're going to do it. That is my official prediction. As always, I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think Colorado's way of winning is sustainable? Do you guys think that they could potentially be a playoff team by the end of the year? If you do, I think you're crazy, but please let me know why. Who do you guys have in the Super Bowl, and why is it Lions Chargers? As always, thank you guys so much for listening. The Spit Show comes out hopefully every other day if I can keep this sickness away. And thank you as always for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.